Hey everybody, Joe Dove from Captain's Quadrant here at Star Trek Long Island, Trek Long Island. Super excited to be here with so many great folks that are excited to be in the Star Trek fandom. And we have a clone. It's a first. I guess I'm the Danny DeVito version, and you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. But we've got two Joes, Captain Joe. I'm black too, so. Surprise! I pull that card out the minute I can.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, you got it.
Wait a minute, let me whip this out.
Boom, boom, boom. Now, is this your first Star Trek convention?
No, I've been attending conventions since 1994, but this is the first New York convention I've ever been to.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. What's your name?
My name is Dean.
Dean, pleasure to meet you.
I'm normally doing your job. I'm normally doing interviews.
Oh, there you go, there you go. It's Joe.
Hi, Joe Campbell. I've been doing conventions since 1973.
Wow, that's awesome. See, black don't crack, because I thought you were like my age.
As of May 5th, I just turned 60.
Wow, God bless you, man. Hopefully this face holds up in 20 years.
I also help run Dragon Con. I'm the third in the Star Trek room at Dragon Con down south. Yeah. Come down, enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm also a maker. I make signs, banners, you know.
All that fun stuff. There it is. Can we put that into the camera? Fantastic, fantastic. And then we have, is this your first Star Trek convention?
My first one.
And what's your name?
Nelson Holland.
Nelson.
Came down here to hang out with my daughter.
It's a family affair.
Star Trek, yes. My wife got me into it back in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
So I've been watching Star Trek off and on for years.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
30, 40 years easy.
Wow. And then are you also big into Star Trek now because of your parents?
Here's the deal, guys. If you're gonna watch this,
We got a breakdown. Nice.
We got a breakdown here, all right? I watch a lot of episodes, don't know the whole thing, but I will tell you, I spent a lot of time watching about an hour and a half of 561 seasons in like 2 days. So I know a little bit more than I did a little bit before, but I'm gonna say my mom is the Trekkie out of all of us. Hi, Mom, if you see this, I know you're in the Bronx and I love you too, but like, I'm here.
Come to think about it, when she mentioned Mom did take me to a Star Trek convention out in California. We were out in California and we went to one.
That's great. That's great. All right, so we will come back at you soon, and lots more to come from this great con. This is my first New York con myself, and I'm excited to be around the great. Oh yeah. I'm terrible with mouth noises. Ask my wife. All right, yeah, exactly.
By the way, this is your first con. Is this a PG thing?
No.
Right.
We're all old men here.
Okay, this is your first con?
And women.
And
women.
This is your first con?
Yes.
This is your first con. The wet spot, yours.
There we go. There we go. All right, everybody. Yeah, all good, all good.
This is a tough one, folks.
I think the first time that I was introduced to him came after an evening that was given where Richard Burton was attending, because he had been asked to play the painter in Susie Wong. And he came, I don't know if he kneeled or squatted, he grabbed me, he said, I want you to know that I am not going to do your play, for the very good reason that it is your play and not my play.
Oh.
And he said, I just want you to know that, because it's not because it's your first play, but I need it to be my play. He went on to do a play with Susan Strasberg, and unfortunately it didn't run, didn't make it. I met Shatner. He was very handsome when he was young. He tried to speak what is it, Quebecois French, which was totally like speaking Chinese to me. And I didn't speak English. And I thought that everybody around knew what they were doing, and I didn't know anything. Except Joshua Logan sat in the back of the last row where people who couldn't afford the front row went to see. And he said, you see that man out there or that woman, you choose that one person in the back row and you're going to do the whole play for that person. And that's how I learned to be an actress. Not only I had to make my character real enough so that I could touch the heart of the person sitting over there in the back row. And my ambition as a child, I had seen a picture of a photograph of a ballerina. And all I wanted to do, I wanted to be like the ballerina. That was when I was 8, 9 or something.
Ready to shoot the last scene, the kissing scene, of course. Mr. Roddenberry came down, and I thought, oh, he's coming to welcome me back. While he was talking to me, I could see his wheels turning. He was looking at me. I thought, oh my God, I'm fired. No, he did not like the way the original outfit looked. So he called Bill Tice, the wonderful wardrobe man. He came down with a bulk of material and a bikini, and he just took me in the corner of the stage and he put me in a bikini. And do you know the last scene in that beautiful caftan? All that is material draped around my body. That's what he did. And I thought it was so beautiful. And Mr. Roddenberry said, shoot it. That was the genius of Bill Tice.
You know, as we sort of say goodbye, let's go way back, okay? In the time machine, all the way back to when you first, got hired, the person that you were when you first got the job to be on this show, to the person you are today. How has this show changed you? How has it affected you all? And I don't know, we can take it down the road if you guys want. How do you want to do it? You ready for us to start down there, Doug?
Can we hear me? Hi. I'll start then. Okay. I was old when the show started, so I'm pretty much still the same tall, skinny guy. But I will say that when the show began, I was ready to hang up the rubber bits and kind of like retire that part of my career. I just finished The Shape of Water, and I thought, thank you. And then I got this call that Brian Fuller wanted me to join Star Trek Discovery. I'm like, there's a new Star Trek show, what? So I jumped in like head first, yes, and kept the rubber bits going for another few years. But I'll say that how it's changed me is I've been part of my 37-year career has been in the genre of comic books and science fiction, horror, fantasy. This, Star Trek, is a family unto itself. It is a genre of material and fandom that is unlike anything else I've ever been a part of. So it truly is, I've understood fandom before, now I understand family.
We'll go down the line. Hi, guys. Does anyone remember you? Me? So we're wrapping up Star Trek Discovery, right? So we're bringing it back to season 1 and Danby Connor and Captain Connor. But man, Doug and I were just talking about it backstage. But that was in 2017. I was 20 years old. I was, skinny boy who couldn't grow facial hair. And oh, wait a minute. Yeah. But no, I remember being cast in Disco, and we had Vegas that summer, and it was me, Mary Chieffo, and Ken. We were released in the press and everything, and no one had any idea who we were. No one had any idea that I was going to be around for 3 episodes and never see me again until Trek Long Island. That's right. We got a born and bred New York over here. And to experience, and it was incredible. And you're part of the family. Like here I am with these veterans over here of the show, and I don't know why, but I guess the only reason is because we're family now. So yeah.
It's such a joy, you know, just hearing my peers talking about their personal experiences of joining this family. And I take it back to when I first got the phone call from my team who represent me, and they said that Alex Kurtzman and Michelle Paradise wanted to speak to this guy from Hackney about this new role. So I jumped on the phone and I spoke with Michelle Paradise and Alex Kurtzman, and the script was so early in the stages, they only had 4 pages written. And aside from Alex Kurtzman, Michelle Paradise, and myself, there were only 2 other people on the planet that had read these first 4 pages. And they were sent to me, and then I had to print them and then burn them. I had to burn them. So I remember reading it, you know, and I think I was at a stage in my life where the next gig I wanted to work on was something that I felt would be cathartic for myself. So I felt quite rebellious in my nature. And then this role of Cleveland Booker came along, and I thought, if I don't do this and I see someone else playing this role, my ego's gonna kick in. So I have to do it. So here I am, getting to share these stories and tell these stories, work on so many wonderful episodes. I didn't realize the depth and abundance of this love until my first convention after episodes had come out had been in, and that was a mission to Chicago. And that experience, and for the people who I met, is an experience that I'll never forget, because it was deeply, deeply humbling and touching. And I feel that I've won being part of this family. I really do.
Hi, everyone. I need you to stop because I'm going to cry. I'm emotional. Why? No, I do know why, because there's so much love. And I haven't seen anything like it. So it's my first convention, so
Two first-timers here, right?
yes.
3 first-timers, right?
Yeah.
2 first-timers. You guys are first-timers.
So I just didn't realize how deep and how far and how wide this family really runs, and just the support and the admiration of a franchise that has done so much for so many people's lives. It's incredible to witness. I feel like from when I first auditioned for this, I think I really was at the point in my career where I needed something to affirm my purpose as an actor on this planet, and I could not have asked for a better role, a better set to join, and a better team of people to collaborate with. And I think since then, it's just been affirmation after affirmation, and I've enjoyed every second of it, and being here is just very full circle in that feeling. So thank you.
I'm feeling with the tears, girl. Wow. When I think about where I started, this is my first convention as well, so I'm feeling all oh my goodness, I had to do that. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to tell a tiny little story. When I actually found out about when my agent called me and was like, "You're playing Dr. Pollard," I freaked out, okay? I almost passed out. But I actually had been helping a bird had fallen from its nest. A little tiny baby robin had fallen from its nest. And so all that morning I was running around trying to figure out how to take care of it, because you can't touch it. You know, I need to get some gloves, and then I'm calling the Humane Society people, and they're like, "No, we can't take the birds. We've got too many birds. You're gonna have to just deal with it." I'm like, "What? I'm not a doctor." And so my agent called me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm healing a bird. I'm about to chew up some worms and spit it into. I'm gonna do anything. I'll do whatever it takes. Damn it." And
invested in this bird. It was a crazy, weird thing that was happening, and it would just seem so fitting that the universe was like, you know, this job is another representation, another example about how we can go out and heal in the world, how what we do is to be of service in the world. Even if we're entertainers or just actors, we know that stories from the beginning of time have always helped to change people's lives and to share traditions and to just be the thing that brings us together as a community. So in that moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to go up into space. The beautiful baby bird, we were videotaping it, and then long story short, it managed to start walking on its own. And it did end up flying away. Like I turned away, I turned away, and the bag was gone. And I was like, okay, I guess I've graduated now. But really, being a part of this incredible show has taught me in many ways how to fly as well. Even in moments when I just like don't know what the heck I'm doing. We were having some great conversations about this, just how you work through the nerves, how you work through. And being here today has been such a gift because every one of you I've had the honor of meeting has just shown me why we do this, like that we are a community and that all of our voices matter and what we do and how we dress and how we present. This is how we freaking change the world. So,
That's a perfect segue into the next question, because I really want to know, we're really interested from your individual points of view, why you think this show is so important. Because from my perspective, I know why I think it's important, and I think it's, you know, the most diverse show that we've ever had represented in Star Trek, and it's important on so many levels for me. But what do you guys think is the reason why it's so important or has touched so many people? You guys can feel it any way you want.
Down the line again?
Sure, why not? Whatever you want to do. This is your show.
LPMs everywhere have come to me and said, I can't. Do you know who has come out of the woodwork to say that they feel very touched by Saru's storyline and art? Well, what I love about Discovery is that anybody, it's a sculpture with many facets to it, and anybody can look at this piece of art and say, I see myself in that, somewhere. Yeah. So with Saru and his anxiety and his fear that he was born into, I've had so many people approach me and like, I live that every day of my life, and Saru is helping get through it. I'm one of those people. The real Doug Jones lives in fear and has anxiety about tomorrow. I can't see what's coming. It terrifies me. So being on Saru's arc with him and helping tell his story has helped me, like, what did Saru do? And he's changed from being fearful about everything to, we can handle this. Because of his metamorphosis he went through, he lost his threat ganglia, and now everything's okay, he doesn't have an innate fear anymore. And the world around him hasn't changed, he changed. His reaction to that world changed. So that's what I've learned is like, wow, the room doesn't have to change to suit me. I have to react in a healthy way.
I love how Star Trek transcends language and cultures. I maybe like a year after season 1 came out, you know, as an actor, like my mom really likes to like tell people I'm an actor, and then like they're like, oh, what have you been in? And I usually start with like, I did an episode of Law and Order and an episode of Bull, and most recently I was I had a recurring role in Star Trek. And she was talking, my mom loves all kinds of, she loves everyone. And we were speaking with this young Hispanic girl and her abuelita, and her niece or granddaughter or whatever was translating as I was talking to abuelita. And I was telling her I was in Law and Order. She's like, Law and Order. I was in Bull, she's like, Bull. And I said I was in Star Trek Discovery, and like Grandma stopped, like stopped. And she's like, Star Trek Discovery? And in my very limited Spanish, I said, sí, abuelita. And she goes, ay, qué lindo! know about Star Trek. Everybody gets it. That was the moral. Everybody gets it. You know, everybody.
I'll take you back to season 4. So we were shooting season 4 in the middle of a pandemic, and logistically there were many, many challenges on set, from wearing your masks to getting tested 3 times a week, to being in close contact and having to self-isolate. There were many, many challenges. And I remember at the beginning of the season, our producer and director, Olatunde Osunsami, said to me that my character is going to go on quite a journey. Now, every now and then I have a thing with how I work when it comes to the scripts I'm reading. So I like to only go from episode to episode. I don't want to know too much. So as I was reading these episodes and seeing the traumatic journey that Cleveland Booker was going on, every episode just got deeper and deeper. Every episode required me to dig deeper and deeper. And all of this work was done in isolation, literally. Because even on set, we weren't able to embrace and hug each other the way we would like to. And I remember completing the season, and then the episode aired. And then every now and then, people would forward the messages to me that were received from people who were dealing with grief. And I have never felt so, for lack of a better word, humble. I've never felt so deeply humbled to hear people talking about seeing this guy's journey being a cathartic experience for them and allowing them to unpack and deal with their grief. And I remember messaging on Instagram and on Twitter to say that I've read all of your messages, and it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel pain. But so God help us, may we always be able to feel deeply, because feeling deep love is the greatest gift you can give yourself.
I think what's been important for me, I was, in all transparency, it was my first introduction into the Star Trek universe was the show, and to start watching the show from the beginning, I was like, oh, I get the obsession, I get the passion for it, because there's something about watching and transporting your imagination into so many different layers of beings, aliens, creatures, that teaches us about our own humanity. And it's like you need to be on the outside to learn how to work the inside. And so I find that where you go and where the show allows you to go and take in stories that aren't just on our plane helps us do better at being us. And I think that's what I value the most about Star Trek in general.
Can you ask the question again? I'm not going my Steve Harvey role. The question is, why do you feel that Discovery is an important show?
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, because it has brought so many people together. Like one show that reaches out across barriers of gender, sex, relation, like creed, different languages, and just what it stands for. It stands for something that makes me go, oh, I can aspire to be greater. Oh, there is something greater for us. Oh, like just the possibility of how I wish to see the world. Like, let's face it, when you look out at it, it's not necessarily a pretty place at times, right? So to have something that goes, oh, this is the best of us, this is what's possible, and you are that hope, to take one of the titles from one of our episodes there, that hope is you.
Whatever Roger Corman was, cranked out, so I consumed all of it, and Star Trek definitely was the first.
Robin, how about yourself? You a Trekkie? Call yourself a Trekkie?
I don't know that I would have called myself a Trekkie, but I grew up with a Trekkie. My older brother was a hardcore Trekkie, so I watched the original series because we had one television in our little 1950s ranch home, and whatever was on it, we all watched it together for the most part. And I remember, I guess I was 1963 when the series started and 66 when it ended. So I was 7 when it started and roughly 10 when it ended. At that ripe young age, that prepubescent age, where I was very taken with the weekly titillation of the women in the crew. Yes, and the love interest of Kirk, etc. You know, I actually went back a couple of summers ago and I watched Plato's Stepchildren again to see if it was what I remembered, because it was so written on my brain. This episode where this alien was making these two people, and I had forgotten it was 4, that it was Nurse Chapel and Spock and Kirk and Uhura. You know, at his own delight, he was making them kiss, and I rewatched it and was once again totally pulled into that dialogue and that sense of two people being so attracted to one another, but yet resisting, but wanting to give in, but still resisting. And that's what I remember. Like when I came onto the set, I thought, this is a really erotic show. And there's a hot babe every week. And Leonard's gonna, do you remember the episode where he was stuck in the cave with Marion Hartley? And he had to decide whether to make love to her for the rest of his life or go back to the crew. And he was torn. And there she is in that, you know, long before Raquel Welch, there she is in the leather bathing suit, and loincloth, whatever. Anyway, so I thought all the profound, beautiful storytelling that Gene was doing went right over my head, and I was more mesmerized by the erotic quality of the show, I have to say.
The erotic misadventures of Captain Kirk.
That's it, Matthew.
I'm sure there's some fanfic with that name out there.
Don't Google it, folks. Do not Google it.
Dr. Spock told me to Google the erotic adventures.
And having become a part of the franchise, I'm quite proud of the fact that I saved Spock by having Pon farr with him. You know, I did Spock in the cave. How do you like those ones?
Is completely made up. None of this is planned, so we are going to create this all on the spot. We're going to create a new episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, and it's musical. Our accompanist, Ammon Taylor, on keys, is also improvising. So everything you're about to see is completely made up through the magic of magic and sci-fi. I would love to ask somebody to give me a number between 2 and 82.
82.
82.
Thank you. 82. Mr. in the front, can you tell me what number 82 says?
Doctor to doctor.
Doctor to doctor. And doctor. All right, that's our show. Here we go, everybody.
Here we go.
Does every episode end with them dying?
Captain's log. Stardate number 287293.7. There has been a little confusion on the Enterprise. We had understood that Dr. Crusher had another 6 months before she returned. And yet, here she is. What do we do with Dr. Pulaski?
I will not have my sickbay taken over by somebody who is being offensive, anti-robot, all of the things, and who doesn't believe in putting on talent shows.
So she calls Nita
a robot. I know, and I won't stand for it.
It's so rude.
It's terrible. Alyssa.
Ladies.
Hi.
Counselor Troy here.
Okay.
I'm just an ensign nurse.
You're just no, you are
Alyssa,
head nurse.
just
head nurse Alyssa Ogawa.
Alyssa, we've been working on this in therapy. It's okay.
What have you felt, Counselor Troy, about Pulaski? I sense a lot of hello, Captain. Captain, we're very concerned about this, okay? I'm back. It's my sick bay now. Why is Pulaski running around and offending everyone?
Beverly, I know you think that I'm in charge of the entire universe, but Starfleet sent us these orders. Dr. Pulaski is here until the end of the year. We
this is going to be
Okay, thank you so much for agreeing to doing this interview. First of all, I have to say I love your uniform.
Why, thank you.
Excellent. So tell me about your booth. And
we
what
are-
you got going on here.
We're actually an international Klingon fan club.
Okay.
The IKF, the Imperial Klingon Forces.
Okay.
And we've been around for a long time, since like the mid-90s. And what we're trying to do here today is really develop some recruitment, get some interest in the area. We're trying to expand our fleet.
Awesome. That's wonderful. And do you guys get together? What do you do?
I
as
certainly hope
activity?
so. One Klingon alone is boring. But no, it is true. Actually, the intent is to develop ships, which are local groups. And they get
Okay.
together and they do activities. Perhaps they do store openings, parties. They get together and enjoy their own, company, as well as charity work and the like.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, if someone wanted to reach out to you and find you and say, hey, I want to join this, how do they find you guys?
Well, you could just walk through the convention and look for the crazy guy dressed like this. But I would personally suggest going online to I-K-V, or I'm sorry, I'm going to read it, so I make sure I get it right.
It's the Klingon wine.
It's the
Klingon
Klingon wine.
The blood
Yeah,
wine.
it's the blood wine. The IKF with dashes in between them.
Okay.
.org. It's the dashes that confuse me.
They don't have dashes on Chronos.
Well, no, the dashing implies running, and we don't run. We never run. We crawl, but we never run.
So, and what kind of charity work have you guys done thus far?
One of my favorite charity type work is blood drives.
Blood drives.
Yes,
Awesome.
actually, we call them blood feuds. What we do is we find a fetty group that's soft and tender and ripe for the picking, and then we call them out and we challenge them to a blood feud. And whoever can donate enough, more blood than the other wins. However, we will donate till we pass out. Then we'll pick them up, drag them back in, and make them donate some more.
So that's a perfect Klingon.
That's right.
That's perfect Klingon method right there.
And if they give us prune juice,
Absolutely.
it's even better.
A warrior's drink, I say.
A true warrior's drink.
Yes. But thank you so much. And we're definitely going to be letting people know about this.
Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Kapla!
Kapla!
All right, we're here at day 2, Star Trek Long Island, Trek Long Island, and we're here at the Podcast Alley. I figured what better place to be amongst than friends, fellow podcasters, and right now we are with Sue, and tell us about your podcast.
Sure. So my show is Women at Warp. We explore intersectional diversity and infinite combinations. What we mean by that is we're examining Star Trek from an intersectional feminist perspective. So we'll talk about characters or episodes or themes in Star Trek, stuff behind the scenes. Some of the stuff I love to delve into is fandom history, but all from a intersectional feminist perspective. So we're looking at things that might be problematic. Maybe we're progressive in the 1960s and are a bit of an issue now, or things that could be better, or different themes that teach us something about today. We had a panel yesterday actually about that looked at the barrier breaking characters in Star Trek. The firsts of their kind, the first Klingon in Starfleet, the first Ferengi in Starfleet, and the lessons we can take from those characters when a marginalized person finds themselves as a first or an only in a room, whether that's in a social setting or a work setting or whatever it may be.
Star Trek's very famous for making those glass ceilings broken. Yeah. And one of the things that I loved was Star Trek Discovery, because we got so many LGBTQ characters in there. And there's a lot of commonalities with some of the rights that they face. So, there's so many barriers, so to speak, for not only the portrayals of these characters on television, but the identity of self into it. So I love Star Trek Discovery. What were your thoughts on Discovery?
I think Discovery is doing a lot of great things. I think it is finally starting to push some boundaries again that 90s Trek pulled back on, right? In the late Berman era, shall we say. Yeah. And it's getting people to think. And I know we hear from our listeners that it is starting conversations, that, some non-binary folks now have something to point to explain their pronouns. And that's really the goal, right? To have representation. It's a cliche, but if you can see it, you can be it, right? Yeah. And it also shows you that when you see it in someone else, it means that there's nothing wrong with you. Because a lot of queer folks, we tend to think when we're trying to figure ourselves out that we're broken. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. And showing not only that those characters exist in media, but that they make it to the 32nd century. Right. I mean, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, it's the absolute hope for an absolute perfect future. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Tell folks where to find you. We're Spectrum Sanctorum. You guys are Women at Warp.
Women at Warp. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Women at Warp, or at womenatwarp.com, and your favorite podcast app player streamer.
Yeah, I have the same struggle. Like, you can listen to us everywhere.
All the places, except Spotify.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back at you. Now we're good. Okay, great. Hey, Joe Dove here. It's captain of the Captain's Quadrant. I am here with
Matthew Kaplowitz from the Trek Untold podcast.
Yes, Trek. I actually follow you on Twitter.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That's one follower.
Yeah, it's great to meet you in person. Tell us about your pod.
Sure. My podcast is a weekly interview series, so I talk to all sorts of folks across the Star Trek universe. So that could be character actors, main cast actors, but also stunt performers, VFX crew, a lot of the folks you maybe have seen once or twice in the show, behind-the-scenes people, all over the place. So all across the Star Trek universe, and we learn about their time on Star Trek, as well as some of their other professional work, the life experiences they had along the way that informed those decisions that they did in their profession, and just paint a complete picture of who these folks are.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Now, who's the biggest get you've gotten that you were like most, oh yeah, I got him or her or they?
It's tough to say. I've had a lot of good big guests. I mean, I've had Jonathan Frakes, I've had Gates McFadden, I've had Alexander Siddig, had Walter Koenig. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of the bigger ones. I feel really bad saying that, but I also love talking to some of the other. Just recently, I just got my partner over there just told me, Daniel Davis recently. Returning as Moriarty, I had Daniel Davis.
That's awesome.
That's kind of more, I think I'd say the folks of the show is like to have folks like that who are the character actors who do more of those kind of performances. So I've also had folks like Alicia Knapp, who you know as Ensign and now Captain Sonia Gomez in TNG and Lower Decks.
Yes.
I've had Ron Canada, who's one of my favorite guests. I've had Albie Selznick. A lot of the folks who you've seen a few times in the show, didn't know all about them, then you learn about them, and you're like, wow, these guys have done so much cool stuff, and you've seen them 100 times before. So big names are great, but I also love the little guys, too. I love the character actors.
It's love to everybody, because in order to make this all work, everybody's got to do their part, and that's the important thing, and that's why, We Podcast is going to stick together, and that's why I came over to say hello. You did great yesterday on your panel with Robin.
Thank you.
I thought that was excellent. It was a lot of fun.
Did you believe that happened?
Did you get to hang out with them a little bit, or?
A little bit. Did get to take a selfie. I got to be that guy who's like, "Can I get a selfie, please?" But I mean, Robin Vaj made my life so easy. That was so great. That was so surreal that it happened.
Yeah, and that's a great experience here at Trek Long Island. And that's it for today. And make sure you follow you at
Trek Untold across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I got a TikTok too. I should probably use it more, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you probably should. Yeah,
So,
I'll follow you there.
If you want to see me dance on TikTok, I'll do some of that. Yeah. That's our outro.
We're here with the amazing Strange New Pod, who I actually follow on Twitter, and it's good to meet you in person. I'm Captain Joe Dove, and we are here at Trek Long Island. So for those that may not know, just tell us a little bit about your pod and your experiences today.
Yeah, so I'm Julian Brown. I am the host and creator of Strange New Pod, and we are a live Star Trek show. We go live. Should I look at the camera? So we go live every single Thursday at 9:30 p.m. on YouTube. We cover all Trek. We started as a Strange New Worlds podcast, but now we just deep dive and review everything.
That's a commonality now. We started out with just Picard, and then we boldly went into other things. And how about yourself? We got an Orion with us, and from afar, I was going to ask you, wow, you painted your whole body green. But now that I'm up close, it's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
No, I took the easy and smart way out of it. But one thing Julian didn't mention is that, we do the new episode reviews, but on the off weeks, we do deep dives into everything. We do best of species episodes. We just did a worst of Starfleet betrayals. And one of my favorites, we go off the wall. We pitched a TNG Kelvin movie. So what would the Kelvinverse be 100 years later? And we cast the entire TNG cast.
Wild.
Yeah, it was so great.
Yeah. So what is one of your highlights here in Trek Long Island this week?
Trek Long Island, just getting to see and meet some of the podcasts that we've never like met people with before.
Like us.
Yeah, like you guys. There's lots of great other podcasts. We never got to meet some of the folks at Women at Warp before. Getting to hang out with Matthew, who's a good friend of our show, and just see all the people in costume. It's a nice little con. We're having a blast.
Right. Now, did you guys meet anybody from the shows? Did you guys get any photo ops or anything?
We did Bruce Horak yesterday, Hemmer from Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, no, we got to give him some stickers
Yep.
we had of Hemmer, and he really loved those a lot, and that made me feel really good because I drew it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So, have you guys had any stars on your show? Is there somebody you're like? Is there like a one person that you're like, okay, maybe besides William Shatner or somebody like that? But
so we actually just had
there's Robin from Star Trek 3. Hi, Savik. Hi. All right, that was good. Got somebody
good. Nice.
Now you had Robin. You're welcome. You're welcome.
We actually midway through Picard season 3, we just had Todd Stashwick, Captain Liam Shaw. So that was great. But I would say I think we all agreed that our favorite guest has been Fred Tatasciore from Lower Decks. He plays Lieutenant Shax, and he was just a delight, an absolute delight. So absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And a lot of the creatives behind the camera on the shows are not just great guests, but we've become friends with them. Like Aaron Walke from Prodigy. Nami Malamat is a huge friend of the pod. We love hanging out with her, especially Giraffe, who is off camera right now. Always making trouble with her. So that's one of the best things about this is being able to foster friendships with very, very cool people.
Yeah. And now you made a new one. Yeah. Again, I'm Joe Dove, and I've been here with
MC
and
Julian,
the host. Make sure you go follow them on all your socials. Give them a rundown of where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find us at Strange New Pod on all of our social medias and strangenewpod.com.
Hey, listen. Hey, Tara, Angela, over here. They're looking for you. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Tara, who signed that? Good work. Well done. Okay, so listen up. Before we bring out JG, there is, at the end of this panel, we are going to be auctioning off at the same time for a library of, our main charity, Library for the Kind, promoting for children's books and equality. Do I have a representative here? No, I don't. Anyway, Library for the Kind, we all know what it is. We've been pushing this charity all weekend. And on this particular panel, this has been donated by the Klingon KlingonShop.com. And what we'll do is, the bidding starts at $250, but by the end of this panel, if the highest bidder on this, and he'll take the bids at the end of the panel, the lucky winner will come up. We will present you with the ballot, and Mr. JG will bring it up, and JG will sign it and put it in your hand, and we'll get a nice photo op. How's that sound? Sounds good? Oh, it's Give it up for JG. Bring him on up.
Let's hear it, Klingon Warriors.
By all means, I'll see you guys at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, before we get started, guys, I hope everyone's having a good time this weekend, and I want to give a big shout out to Stephanie, Rachel, and Edwin, because they made this whole event possible. Without them, we wouldn't. And of course, thank you to each and every single one of you guys, because without you guys, there would be no Star Trek, there would be no fandom, there would be no convention. So give yourselves a hand for being here as well. Otherwise, I'd be talking myself, and no one wants to hear that.
I don't think I want to hear you right now.
And speaking of weapon safety, you guys may have seen me waving this little batleth around all week, and this is made of foam rubber. This probably doesn't even weigh a pound. That batleth right over there is an actual weapon. So it's sharp, so you need to be careful with it, and it probably weighs, I don't know, 50 pounds?
No, 15, 20 pounds at most, but it's heavy.
It's very heavy. I wouldn't be waving it around like this. So we're going to be raffling that off for a little bit later on. And the winner is going to come up here, and JG is going to sign it for you. and all proceeds are going to the Library of Kindness. So bear that in mind.
I think that's especially ironic. That weapon that is deadly is going to the Library of Kindness. We don't have that library on Kronos. I don't believe is it just us?
It's just you and me in the ballot.
Oh, all right. Good.
And the fake ballot.
Nothing I like talking more about than myself. And like, but for the people that were at the writers' gathering here before, right before us, those guys, my deepest admiration. And in 6th grade, I wrote, directed, and starred in the most incredible production. I don't remember what it was called, but it was something about the American pageant. And it included bootleggers and Mount Suribachi. That's all I remember. Then I took a vacation for 30 years. And I said, I can't top that. And then I eventually got back into theater at my senior year in college. But anyway, I don't want to talk about it. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, it's your panel.
It's my panel?
It's your panel. You can talk about anything that you'd like.
Well, the biggest question is, what questions do you have? Because that's where we can start. And how many people are here from Long Island? Oh, that's pretty good.
Kinda.
You got a good turnout. What about upstate New York? All right, my peeps. Where are you from? Liars! Liars! Claiming upstate status. You said Westchester? That's like, yeah. Who else raised their hands from upstate? Yes. Oh, that's upstate, yeah. Listen to this gentleman here. Anybody from Pennsylvania? No. No Amish? There's no Amish here? I asked that question because Herzler's an Amish name, and my great-grandfather was Noah. My great-grandfather was John. I think it was my great-great-grandfather, Noah, who fell in love with an English girl. And anybody that's not Amish is English. And that they shunned him. He got kicked out of the Amish faith. But I think the blood still courses through my veins. I just have this drive to bale hay, and every time I drive by a field, I want to go out and plow it. Anyway,
and you just don't want to let people down. But as I saw, I think it was 8 or 9 months after we had shot the footage, I saw the first episode. They sent us kind of a rough cut of it, and I got tingly, and I thought, we did good. So I was really happy with how it all turned out.
I was also curious, being legally blind, did you have any input into the character or was it something that was fully flushed, or were you able to bring some of your experiences to that character in that way?
Well, a little bit. Certainly on set, they asked me for, how was it going to move with the character, and for me, I thought about Hemmer not so much as being blind, but as actually being more of a superhero, because he's got this telepathy and he's able to move around with, and the Enar don't read people's minds without permission, so they have a strict code about that, but he's incredibly competent and capable. So there was that. There's moments sort of in the, I guess in the protocol or the etiquette on set, where, because I was working, like currently right now, I'm wearing a contact lens, so that improves my vision a little bit, but still, I don't see faces, I don't see yeah, I can't tell who people are necessarily. So the culture on set became one that I was really grateful for, where people would introduce themselves and let me know who was speaking, saying, "Hey, Bruce, it's Anson," or whatever. And so that started to leak into the everyday, and that was really helpful. I had an assistant with me everywhere I went, and the camera people were really conscious and aware to be more vocal and give me more audio cues, so that it's not just somebody saying, "Look over here," but it's like, okay, here's the sign, and here's how I can tell how to move through that. And I only ever bumped into a camera once, and after that, everything changed, which is good.
Can you talk a little bit about how it was like to work with Celia Rose Gooding, Uhura, on the show?
She was fantastic. Just so much energy and so delightful. Obviously, Hemmer and Uhura have quite a bond on the show, and she's incredibly playful, and we had a great time, and it was we actually had our last day together, so our final shot where they, after you kind of wrap, they say, "This is, that's pictured," or no, that's a wrap on Celia and Bruce, and we just gave each other a big hug, and there were tears, and she was flying off like 20 minutes later. So yeah, it was really, it was a really special bond, and then we got to see each other again at the premiere, and again, tears. There's a lot of tears in this show. Off camera.
And in terms of that, your Uhura Hemmer arc, like I'm guessing that was mostly on the page already before you even got there. But was there anything that you were able to do, you and Celia were able to do to enhance that or change that or make that even better?
Well, we played a lot between takes. I don't know if they're in the outtakes on the DVD. I haven't seen it yet, but there was a lot of goofing around between takes, and actually really the scene where we're trapped together in the cargo bay. That was a lot of days together, and so we just found kind of a playful rhythm with each other, and honestly, the sacrifice at the end of episode 9. I don't know that Celia actually knew that Hemmer was going to be sacrificing himself, so it was a real gut punch for her. And it's a tough thing to be the character that has to leave. I can't imagine what it is for the actors that have to stay who lose a friend.
This is the Rowdy Bunch.
Yeah.
Woo!
Well, then you can channel your rowdiness into creativity, because this is completely interactive. Do you all have pencils and paper?
No.
Who here has a phone with a notes section?
Woo!
That's all you need. And quick thumbs will add in it. So one of the greatest things about all of Star Trek is the idea of infinite diversity and infinite combinations. And that is probably best represented by the huge array of alien species that have appeared in 68 years of Star Trek and a bajillion episodes. So I thought we could start by talking perhaps about our favorite alien species.
Oh, Kelpians?
Let me put my surprise face on.
What about the Kelpians?
What do you like about a Kelpian? I mean, we all enjoy a good Kelpian.
Sure.
Yeah.
In the Mirror Universe, they really did. Chianti in their soup.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Any other aliens that you particularly like? Maybe in like TOS?
Well, I'm often quite partial to Vulcans, which it works out well for Saru because I'm dating one now. But in the original series, Spock was he was my guy. I related to him. He was the tall, skinny one that looked funny. I get that. And we have dated, and but I also the personality of it. Aliens aren't just a look; they have their own ecosystem, their own way of reacting. and the Vulcan way is very non-emotional, which is so not me. So I was really intrigued by that. It's like, how do you respond to the world without ever showing it? You know what I mean? I was always enamored with the Vulcans for sure. David?
I love the combination of Vulcans and Kelpians. And, no, legit, and I think it's off the back of a few wonderful things I experienced shooting season 5, and Doug and the actress Tara. I love the joy that these characters bring out in each other, and that combination for me was just very, very glorious to see. Absolutely.
I'm much more shallow. Okay. I liked Andorians because I was a Smurf kid and they were blue. And I thought the antennas were just really, really cool. And then, do you remember the end of the TOS credits? It would be Bela. And it would say the Desi Lu production. I thought his name was Desi Lu. And you didn't know. I was very young. And then I turned 30. But I was like, I like the Desi Lu alien. Yeah.
That's classic.
It's fine. Yeah. So now that you all have your phones out, this is going to be an opportunity for us to create our own alien species. Because the good people at Star Trek haven't done enough. We need new ones. We need new ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some prompts, about 10 prompts, and you're going to have 5 minutes. 5 minutes, which is both an awful lot of time and not a lot of time, right? Depending on the part, to create your own alien species. So I will read off the prompts. The name of the species. The name of your alien. The ship they're serving on or visiting. The name of the planet or the quadrant they hail from. If they're in Starfleet, their rank and their job. Their body type and appendages. With this crowd. If they have any facial markings or ridges or jewelry or antenna. If they have hair, what does it look like? Any other distinguishing characteristics that I've done. Now here's where you have to get really creative about character. What does the alien want or need or offer? What do they want or need or offer? And finally, who are their rivals and friends? So I'll go through the list one more time. The name of the species, the name of the alien, the ship they're serving on or visiting, the name of the planet or quadrant they're from, their Starfleet rank and occupation, their body type and or appendages, their facial markings, ridges, jewelry, antenna, their hair, any other distinguishing characteristics. What does the alien want or need or offer? And who are their rivals or friends? So I'm going to give you an extra 3 minutes to ask actually David a question now that we're talking about all of these aliens. Can you talk about the difference between acting against an actor in prosthetics and a CGI alien?
Yes, I can.
You've done both.
I have. I guess when it comes to CGI, you really have to surrender to the infinite possibilities of your imagination and allowing it to run wild within reason. It can be tricky sometimes because there are some days where you may feel a bit cynical and you have to really, really, really allow your childhood energy to kick in so you can see that imaginary creature. But then every now and then you have to act in front of an actor and wear prosthetics. And I remember something very, very clearly, actually. This is kind of connected, unconnected. I remember shooting season 4, and working with Doug a few times, I didn't understand how he was able to convey so much with so much prosthetics on his face. But I experienced and was the recipient of a very special moment, and I can say this now that we've completed filming. Season 4, I remember being on the bridge, and this is after Cleveland Booker had experienced losing his planet and what have you. And then Saru came on to the ship, and then I remember saying, "Hey, Saru," and then you said to Book, "I'm sorry for your loss." And I remember you conveyed so much empathy in your eyes, it made me super emotional. There was no acting required. So the joy of being able to work with an actor in prosthetics who's gifted like Doug is the gift that keeps on giving. So I wanted to honor you in this moment. So I never get to
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, your 5 minutes starts now. So while we're writing, Doug, yes, can you talk to us a little bit about the process of becoming an alien?
Well, while people are building an alien out there, when I'm offered an alien role in something, it's the misconception is that it's all exterior. How does he move? How does he walk? What does he look like? That's part of the process, but it comes later. The first part of the process is internal. As an actor, not just a guy with elbows, I have to ingest the character. What are his wants, needs, loves, where does he come from, what's his backstory, all that, right? So in the case of the Kelpian, I was a prey species on a planet with a predator, and lived in fear, and we were simple people that farmed kelp and lived in huts. Okay, that was a great start. And my character, Saru, of course, he looks at the stars and wonders what's out there beyond this lifestyle. And he's smart and inquisitive and wants to know more. So that's all good backstory to know about him. So any role that I take, I get those notes from the script. The script is kind of the starting point of any role for me, where you get the writer's intention, you see of who the character is, how he interacts with other characters in the story, what's my part of the entire arc of the story. All those things have to be in there and considered. So I take that information to hopefully can talk with the director if it's a movie, or the showrunners if it's a series, and get their notes. What do you see the character? What nuances, idiosyncrasies, backstory? What can you give me about the character? Good. So we have that bit of research done. Then I'll take all this information and go in front of mirrors in a 24-hour fitness aerobic studio when the classes are done for the day. And I'll stand there in a t-shirt and jeans going, how do we take all that information and make it physical now? What's his posture? What does he walk like? Does the script call for me to crawl or walk or climb up walls or do handstand? What does it call? There's so much to consider from what I need to be doing, what's that look like, what body language works for me now that I've ingested his soul, right? Now, then that next step after that is the prosthetic makeup, fittings, and test makeups. So I've seen some concept art on paper usually, like, oh, he's going to look like that, got it. So I do my best to translate what that look onto the t-shirt and shorts version of me. And then when the fittings start, let's say that I practiced, he really would be great to walk like this because of so much backstory that, something, and the suit or makeup hinders you and you can only do this, right? So I have to make that adjustment once the prosthetics are now applied and tested. We do test photos, and I can see what works and what doesn't physically. And then, so as that process goes, by the time we get to set, we have a complete character, internal, external, and hopefully that plays on film for you. Does that make sense? That makes a lot of sense. People work with you. that concept artist that came up with the original drawings of it. You have the writer who came up with the heart and soul of it. Those two come together when it's presented to the director, or again, the production team that looks at these creatives going, oh, yeah, but we wanted them to have more of a ha-ha or a thing, or we want the ears more pointy, or whatever, right? Then that goes to the prosthetics, the creature effects designers. And they're the ones who have to make that drawing, and those notes happen in 3 dimensions now. So that's when they have a sculpture, a maquette done. Like, for instance, when I played Abe Sapien in the Hellboy movies, the reason they called me was because of the maquette that was made. After the design work was done, and they put it into a 3D sculpture. It was about this tall of Abe Sapien from the Hellboy movies. He was this long, lithe, sort of like, balletic sort of fish man. And when Guillermo del Toro saw this, he was like, "Oh, it's so beautiful!" And so the entire creature effects team that had sculpted this and designed this said, "You know who's perfect to play this is Doug Jones." So that's how that happened. Right? Well, bless you, thank you. But so that sculpture, someone has to sculpt that based on the conceptual art that someone else did. Then that sculpture has to become life-size pieces. So that would mean I go in for a body cast from head to toe, or a body scan now. Thank heaven they can do that, have the technology to do that, and then 3D print you. So they can then now fit pieces and do sculptures on you of what the prosthetics will be on a life-size Dougie. And then the fittings come with those pieces that have been created for me. So that involves all the technicians that have to, and mold makers who do the life cast and then do the sculpting life size on you. Then there's mold runners who make run the molds of the pieces off of that sculpture. Oh my gosh, right? And then once that's done and the pieces are made, they're all like a really light tan color from the material. They have to be painted. So a painter comes in and does the design of the colors and the color scheme. On The Shape of Water, that amphibian went through a year of changes and nuances and what if, because that was a fish man also, but he had to be kissable and dateable. So they retooled the lips and the ass several times. But I'll tell you what, I'll tell you why the ass really worked, how when I knew the ass was working. Can I say this word in front of you? Octavia Spencer, one of my co-stars in that movie, whom I just love and adore. We were sitting in our set chairs like this, between shot setups. I got up to walk away for a minute. Octavia sitting here said, I heard behind me, That's when I'm like, you know what? The ass works.
That's a little over 5 minutes.
Okay,
just super quickly, David, are you glad you never have to go through a full body cast?
Absolutely. I know a time probably will come and happen. I've done a half body cast before, and it's a thing. It's a thing, and it really makes you admire the work of the creators and the artists. And just hearing you explaining how many people are involved, it literally does take a village. And it's when it comes together, it's incredible. But I ain't missing.
All right, who would like to share their alien with the crowd? If you want to stand up, come over here. I will pass you the mic.
My name is Angelo Ortiz.
Angelo, everyone.
Name of the species is a golarrhea. Alien name is Ecta zola. This person serves aboard the USS James Woodall. Planet Galadria. The rank is lieutenant. The serve in operations as an engineer. Body type and appendages relatively short and stumpy, with extra eyelids, 2 main eyes and 2 smaller ones. Facial markings are relatively smooth, no jewelry. Hair, feathery, thin hair over the sides and the top of the hair, with two hairless ridges from front towards the crown. Other distinguishing characteristics, the unusual eyesight of the species, because they're able to see across several light spectrums, including visualizing sound waves. What they want to offer, they have an unusual and natural engineering ability, knows how things operate at almost an interdimensional plane. Wants to make fit a perfect starship that's never been created before. Uses starships as a playground for inventing or testing concepts which can get them into trouble.
Wow.
Enemies and friends. The friends of multiple species, but in general can be arrogant about unusual abilities in engineering and science innovations, can be unaware of their own arrogance and hubris. Militaristic societies are jealous of the Golarids because they want to weaponize their knowledge.
That was amazing.
Wow.
What is your name?
My name is Max. My pronouns are they, them. You guys may recognize me as the Data cosplayer from yesterday. How many of my other creators, by the way, are D&D players? Just out of curiosity. This is why. All right, so my boy is named, his species is called Colvin, Kolvin. His name is Lieutenant Commander Gremlin Korst, and his demeanor is very calm but stern, and he's very diplomatic, but he's very straightforward. He served on the USS Yelchin. Maybe you recognize. The planet was called Corporal, and it was a cooler desert planet that didn't used to be a desert. It had solar storm damage that irreparably damaged the surface of the planet, and it drove the entire species underground. Before the Federation, they were close but not quite yet warp technology, so they did have quite high technology. A lot of it was very organic, so think like Moya from Farscape or Pandora from Avatar, that kind of symbiotic relationship with their planet. They have very self-sustaining energy. That is their goal as a community, is to support each other and to survive underground by working with their planet and developing self-sustaining energy and a community that works together. They have a hive mind, so telepathy is very involved, but it's mostly conveyed through emotion. But they do speak in their own language, which helps kind of connect them as a community. They don't have like strict like heterosexual, bisexual, like sexuality between them. It's very fluid, but also having multiple partners or group families is very common. They absolutely believe in the mentality that it takes a village. So Colvin was his planet leader before he joined the Federation, and he's a lieutenant commander. Now on the ocean, he's a science officer. So as far as visually, he's quite tall. He's Kelpian tall and has a very similar, like kind of curvedness in his back, but much more hunched than a Kelpian. Fawn-like legs, but no fur. Very reptilian features, scaled skin. It has like lavender and white tones with a pearlescent sheen. No hair. 4 small black eyes that are completely pitch black and they blink sideways like snakes do. They bring a perspective on community and collaboration. Everything has someone to offer, big or small. They have a lot of strength and survival. Before they joined the Federation, they didn't much interact with other planets. And that's better.
I heard 4 eyes a few times, 6 eyes. Was Michael Westmore here after all this weekend? On video. What was it? Did he talk about, like, because he's done Star Trek makeups forever. Didn't Roddenberry have a rule about 2 eyes, 2 ears, or something like this? Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I guess we're breaking away from that today, for sure. But a little backstory to Saru's design. Originally, Saru did not look like what he looks like now at all. The first conceptual design I saw that I was pitched was his head had 2 crests that went up like. It was way high, and 10 eyeballs in his face. 10, yeah. So they designed it, they built it, they put it on me for a makeup test. We did it. I'm sorry? That's the problem. Okay, so with 10 eyeballs, right? And they also had finger extensions out to here, very long, spindly fingers. And so I'm looking at this design going, oh, when I first saw it. And my first request from them was, can you shorten the fingers? Because if I have to use any prop, tap on screens, use a phaser, use a tricorder, I'm going to have to hand it to somebody else to do that for me. Because finger extensions, I've worn them many times, you can't use props. They're like, oh, good to know. Yeah, okay. So, and the other thing, with our makeup test, it was a cool looking head, but it was also so much, and there was Saru was such an emotional character that has to connect with people that have 2 eyeballs. His 10 eyes were kind of off-putting, like, which ones do you look at? Right? And with all the emotional arc that he's gone through with 10 eyes would have been a completely different feeling and story. And the other issue was how expensive that was going to be to move 10 eyeballs around. Well, mechanically, you can puppeteer those, but that creates a sound problem. You have to ADR and voice over every line you say. The other problem is making them all CG. Oh my gosh. Every time the camera's on Saru, it would have cost thousands upon thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so they're like, well, either you have a 10-eyeballed Saru and you see very little of him, or we redesign it. So, and when I was wearing that, it's a big thing too, it was very heavy because those crests were made out of a hard material that had to hold the shape with all these eyeballs in it. So they had to put this helmet on me, and in order to get it tight enough so that it wouldn't slip when I leaned down, they had to tighten it. So I'm like, oh, with a bit of a headache. And then when you lean down, all that weight goes anyway. And so the rubber skin that was over, the silicone skin, would then kind of bunch up like this when it was done. And Saru spends half of his time standing at his station on the bridge, looking down at all this. So that would have been 5 years of hell. You know what I'm saying? So our designer, Neville Page, called me right after that test video footage and said, how do you feel about this test we just did? I'm like, oh, can I be honest? He goes, I want to be honest too. I don't think it's working. I'm like, oh, thank you, Neville. Oh my gosh, thank you. And then he explained to the studio saying this was going to be too expensive. Yeah, good for them. And so Neville sent me a quick computer drawing of the Saru that we now know. And there was such a look of innocence and love in his face. I was like, that's the Saru I want to play. So that's how.
That redesign in his back pocket, waiting for it, or did
No,
he just did it overnight?
I think he did it like it was just a few days later. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And you all had 5 minutes.
I know.
Would anyone else like to share their story? Don't be shy. It's fun. Be a little shy. It's fun.
Give me 5 more minutes.
Maybe we'll just have about 5 or 10 more minutes. We can open it up to questions.
Wednesday, I'll be 63. Don't I look great?
Yeah!
Give me that stage here.
Anytime, would be my pleasure. Main difference for me, working in the UK and working in Canada and America. In Canada and America, the catering is way better. Listen, I'm like, if the catering is good, you'll get the acting for free. Getting to work on Doctor Who was so wonderful, but so wonderfully strange at the same time, because I was doing a play with David Tennant.
Oh,
wow. Finished doing that play, and then was doing Doctor Who with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
So best of both worlds, working with 2 different doctors.
Yeah.
And it was a cool, fun experience. They wanted to bring me back again, actually, a couple of years ago.
I got one last question for you guys. I'm just going to throw it out there. Should there be another event like this in the future? Yeah! I'm speaking hypothetical, of course, but
I was waiting for the rotten fruit. I was like,
what things would be holding for next year?
I really don't know if I had to. And I know you're all going to quote me on this, so I'm going to preface it with, if I had to choose a date, I would probably say a similar weekend. I would say something like May 17th to 19th. Please.
Just posted it.
Do not. Thank you, sir.
I love it.
That's what I would say. That's liable to change because we have to have availability, obviously, for our venue, which I hope you all liked.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got to start thinking about who we're going to get. So I just want to apologise. Stephanie is not here. She's upstairs taking care of people who have to get away, and unfortunately don't have a transporter or a starship, and they just have to take good old-fashioned 4 wheels. So, but before I go on to say, we do have a couple of our distinguished guests here with us to wish you all safe passage. It's been a wonderful first event. As program director, I really enjoyed it. I'm very exhausted. I didn't think I could function this long with this much sleep. So, in putting together the program, I basically put together the program I would want to see at a convention.
Good.
I didn't want it to be just they sit at a table, you go up, you have your moment in the sun, you pay your money, you get your autograph, you do your selfie, and that's it. I wanted us to have regular Q&A panels. I also wanted to have the science track, which was incredibly important. We had real scientists, not fake ones. And there was some phenomenal panels, none of which I was able to attend. We had wonderful fan panels, a lovely track of fan panels. And there was a vast range of topics discussed, ranging from gender, race issues, right down to the enduring legacy of War of the Worlds. We had Outer Limits panel, the final frontier of the Outer Limits, which brought in the actors David Franklin and Barbara Luna. David sadly could not join us. His plane was delayed. He was so devastated, but we did get him in on a Zoom call this morning for the panel, for those of you that could attend. It has been recorded, and I'm hoping we can put it online for free for you all to watch and enjoy it.
Woo!
We had podcasters.
Sure did.
Yeah. Woo!
But above all else, we had a very special panel today. We had Taking Up Space. We had Serena Salido, who, I don't know if she's here. She's the head of Taking Up, I think she's sleeping. And we have a real captain in the audience. Our real celebrity. I'm going to ask, Captain, please don't let me murder your first name. Hidea, there we go. You see, I've been practicing. Captain Hidea Star Eagle, would you please come on the stage and I would like you to take a ton of pictures of Captain Star Eagle. We are one of the few Star Trek conventions that has a real captain in the United States Space Force.
Woo!
The first Native American woman in the Space Force. And I did not know I was going to do this. I'm going to put her on the spot and ask her to say a few words. You can't look terrified. You can accept foot on Mars. So please go ahead, Helen.
Dr. Edwin, I just first want to say it's an honor and a pleasure to be invited to this event, actually being born in New York, Brooklyn, and my tribe, representing my tribe, the Matinacock Nation, here on Long Island, and having an opportunity to spend the weekend with my family, my new family, the Star Trek, here at Star Trek fans here at Long Island. And I just want to say the biggest message that we pass today to everyone is just with everything that you guys are facing day to day, especially as you are going through any challenges in life, the one thing I want to leave everyone with is if they're not on your ladder, they don't matter.
Yeah.
So everything that you're going on in your life, we're all limited by our own biases of success. And then what we need to be doing is uplifting each other and empowering each other, because everyone deserves a chance to break their own glass ceilings and be their own trailblazers. Don't let go of that ladder, all right? Thank you.
That is captain's orders.
Captain's orders. So I just want to say, we were talking last night, and Hideo said to me, I was saying about supporting taking up space, and we gave a really good push to their last fundraiser. They sell patches. They have gold patches, silver patches, and regular patches. And they're very limited, and they're signed by the astronauts, including Captain Fred Hayes. He was the captain of the Enterprise space shuttle. And they raised recently, and we really pushed this on social media. I'm not saying we were responsible for the fundraiser, but we tried our best to help. And they raised $10,000 in the last fundraiser. So I said, Jim Yeager, a very good friend who runs Trek Talking, he did a commercial for taking up space, and he runs it on his podcast, Trek Talking, which you should all hear Mondays and Thursdays. Please check them out. And I said to Jim, you know, not for nothing, I said, if we help in any tiny way to, in 40 years from now, the first human on Mars is a Native American woman, I said, we can rest easy that we contributed to that, like 0.0000001%, but at least we helped in a tiny way. And you said to me, you know, that General had asked you to take a coin to Mars with him.
General, he's now retired, General North. And I told him, I met him when I was in Iraq in 06, when I was just a little wee young airman in the Air Force. And I made him a promise, and you guys are the first to hear in the masses, that I'm actually right now in the works of working towards applying for the astronaut program with NASA. I'm standing by, I've got backing of astronauts, and they're going to help me. We're going to, Space Force, I've got the endorsement. We're going to try to figure out what that pathway looks like for me. It's going to be a few years, but you know, hopefully you guys will be along for the journey as we navigate this.
The other thing Hideo said to me was, what do you want me to take to Mars, Edwin? What do you want me to put on Mars? And I replied, is there anything you want me to take and put on Mars? I said, I want you to put
myself. I don't want to look stressful, but I get like killed. It makes me really emotional, because I've never actually had anyone say that, and that's just coming from probably one of the most genuine individuals that I've come across in a long time, and that really meant a lot. So
she hasn't got to know me very well, because I just realised I can't count. Yeah, and so from a captain to a chancellor, I would like to get Mr. J.G. Hertzler.
Very, very proud of you.
Let us know if you find any Klingons on Mars.
You guys will be the first to know. It'll be sent immediately to your guys' Twitter.
You want me to say something?
Oh, yeah, that would be really great.
I just wanted to, I'm going back to Trumansburg, New York, tomorrow morning. But I said, you know, I'm exhausted and I'm old and I want to go to get some dinner or something. I said, wait a minute, is there a closing ceremony? And I wasn't sure that there was.
Neither was I at one point.
And so I said, well, I'm going to go find out. And I stuck my face into the earlier panel discussion.
You pulled him in and shut the door.
Yeah. And I said, well, there must be. And then I heard the announcement. So I wouldn't miss this, because I would have thought it is an extraordinarily successful convention. Yeah. From as far as I can see, and I know that as the market in Star Trek, even the ability for Star Trek to have continued after 1965, 66, it took the fans to stand outside the gates at Paramount Studios and say, we want Martok! No, we want Star Trek. You know, and they forced Paramount to renew the series. And so it all depends on you. Thank you guys for being here. And you've been wonderful as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
My heart is full, as my mother used to say, my cup runneth over. Seriously, I'm enriched by all of you. Thank you, and I want you to go out and live your best lives until we see each other again. God bless.
Good. And always remember to be kind to all kinds. Thank you.
We are all aliens somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, well, I mean, I wanted to also thank you, all three of you for being here. God, it's an
I
honor.
should say
It's
thank
an
you
honor,
too,
yeah.
you know, Josh.
What?
Josh, you know, is wonderful. We put him on stage because he's really good at talking a lot.
I apologize for that in advance.
I really want to thank everybody. No words. Love you. Love you all.
Stephanie.
Maybe doing it again sometime around this time next week.
I don't know. A few people came. I mean, I get it.
Set up for May 17th and 18th. Good morning, Steph.
You're paying? Oh, JG's paying for next year. You heard it all here.
No. That's a misunderstanding.
We have a question. Stand up, please. Shout from the rooftop.
Take questions, yeah.
So for next year, I know it's 2 days for this year because it is a first year con. And again, I need to echo, I've done a lot of conventions, I've run conventions, I know exactly how hard you guys have worked. Thank you for your hard work.
Oh.
First year convention, this is incredible.
Yeah.
That's my daughter screaming.
So now that you have had a successful 2-day first year con, are you hoping to do Friday through Sunday next year?
Oh, I am, but it's up to Stephanie, really.
I'd like to do 3 days. Yeah, I think so. It'd be better. I want to be more tired.
I'd like to do 3 days and show up on the last day.
I like those dates. The 18th is my actual birthday.
Woo!
Dinner. I want to say something. The dinner last night was delicious. And the entertainment was superb. I don't know about you, JG, but in my travels, I had never seen these acts that are geared especially to Star Trek audiences. I thought you guys were superb. Thank you for that. That was very
Were the chicken nuggets and fries good? Were the chicken nuggets and fries good last night? Good. Only the best.